So we've established that social media does impact the home buying process. It does also complement it, but it can also affect perception of the home buying process for first-time home buyers. So who's to blame? Michael, I'd like to know from you, who's to blame?
Well, just what we were talking about before, it's if people are misleading people, it's a false advertising issue and it's a credibility issue. And if there's no checks and balances in our system, then it just keeps going. But I think that's what separates the whatever that saying is, because if you are credible, people want to deal with you. People know that you're honest, and the people say this all the time. Oh yeah, their listings are always overpriced, or that guy always has like stuff in his listings that isn't true, or I think they use a wide angle lens. So it'll all come out, whether it's print advertising or social media. I think that it's supposed to be a complement to your business. And if you manage it correctly, like you're doing with your videos, it will grow your business. So it impacts it, but it's just a complement to it.
So I gather what you're saying here is there are realtors to blame in today. Is that what you're saying? Do you agree with that, Andrew?
Oh, for sure. I think any industry, as Michael mentioned, I think any industry's got got every layer of good, bad, and ugly, right? And I think it's exactly that. I think you're going to have really good people that do a really good job and have a great reputation and track record who utilize these tools to their benefit. I like to think that I do that. I'm sure Michael does that. But there are some that, they may take advantage of it a bit and leverage it in a way that is maybe
deceptive.
And people figure it out eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why 90% of the business is done by 5% of the people, or whatever that ratio is.
Absolutely, I agree.
So let me hear from you, Claudia, as an aspiring first-time home buyer. Who do you rely on for information on social media right now with regards to real estate?
Yeah. So I know on Instagram, like there's a couple people who I've gone to school with or whatever, that come up on my platform, and I guess because I maybe know them, I have some trust that what they're putting out there is going to be accurate and more honest.
Right.
But on other platforms, if it's say TikTok, I think you have to really get a feel for what kind of videos that person's posting and really gauge that yourself, whether you think the information is honest or not. I think you can go to those people, but you also need to do your own research. And my primary is going to my dad to kind of check fact that information if it's correct.
So
is your dad a realtor?
He's not. He's an investor, but he's quite intelligent. So
right. So we've talked. Vince and I have talked about this before. Mm-hmm. You go to your dad, but if you have a really good realtor who has established that they're credible and honest, I personally, because I'm older, I find it remarkable the level of involvement of dads and mums and aunts and in-laws. When I bought my first house, I just went and bought a house.
Yeah.
And today you're selling to a panel of people, and a lot of times, and I'm sure not your dad in particular, but a lot of times, like the parents will come in and challenge us because we've got to like straighten out that realtor who's taking advantage of baby Jesus, and then they're giving their kid misinformation.
Right.
So that's really interesting. I think if you go look at like 5 houses with 5 different agents, hopefully one of them sort of is in sync with you and understands you and you feel trust in. But I think too often people in your generation in particular are relying on their extended family who love them and want the best for them, but because they love them and want the best for them, they can be getting the best deal in the world and they think they're paying too much money. Like, you know what I mean? So go ahead.
Like I do think our generation can be coddled. Like you said, you just went out and you got a house. Your parents didn't necessarily give you information or help you do that. And I do see that in our generation, and I think I do that with my dad too. But to some extent, I don't ask, my parents are divorced, so I have 4 parents, stepmom, stepdad, mom, dad. So I know which family member that I trust will have enough knowledge to help me with that. And I'm sure there's other people who are bringing on their whole family to help them understand what it is they're buying. But yeah, you have to be very selective. But I think there's just that in today's world, not being able to trust people. And even if there's a reputable real estate agent, you know, there's still a lack of trust.
Yeah, to her point, I agree with you. There's, I'm sure, Michael, you get that little gut feeling when you get that question from, I call it lot lawyers sometimes. You've got someone that's influencing the decision maker, and you get that in the gut of your stomach when you get that question. And it's not necessarily, they're not trying to be maybe rude to you on purpose, but that feeling, and it happens a lot, more so than what people probably realize. And